Welcome to Business Matters. Today, we'll be looking at logistics and supply chain made plain. So, our lesson for today is logistics and supply chain made plain. Let's get right into it now. Our objectives for the lesson are to explain the terms logistics and supply chain operations, to describe the links in the chain of distribution, to distinguish between multimodal and intermodal transport, to explain the role of transport in marketing, and we're also going to be looking at a few advantages and challenges of the supply chain operation. So, what is logistics? Logistics is the process of storage and transportation through a number of elements for the product to reach the place where they are needed. So when we talk about logistics, then all those things that are necessary to be put in place for the movement of the goods and to allow the goods to reach the consumer or the customer, yes, when it is needed. Supply chain then is the way or the channels the business uses to get its resources for production or to get the goods to the consumers. Let's look at some components of logistics. Number one, forward and reverse flow. Forward and reverse flow. This represents the delivery of goods and services, yes, and the return of goods considered to be unsuitable. By that we mean, if we are the seller, yes, the movement of the goods from our company to the customer is referred to as forward flow. The movement of the goods from our company to the buyer rather, and that would mean that it is a forward flow. The goods is moving, right? And whenever the goods is returned to us as a result of some fault, they are damaged, they are unsuitable for whatever purpose, yes, it's referred to as reverse flow. The goods is coming back through a particular channel to come back to us. Or there may be a situation where goods are recalled, where goods are outdated. Yes? So the goods travel through what is referred to as the reverse flow. The second component is referred to as warehousing. This is very important. A warehouse is a commercial building where goods stored or held to be rerouted to another location. All right, so that is warehousing, a warehouse rather, a building that is storing goods for the purpose, maybe for production or to reroute it. So it is being stored temporarily to be rerouted to somewhere else. Now, warehouses provide inbound function. So warehouses provide what? Inbound functions. What does that mean? Inbound function is really a place to hold or store raw materials to be used in the production process by the producer. What do we mean by that? So, I'm a manufacturer, I'm a producer, and I purchase from my suppliers raw materials to be brought in to be a part of my production. Yes? So the goods coming in and it is being stored in the warehouse so that whenever I need additional raw materials to produce goods, I can access it easily. So it is inbound function, that is, it is bringing in raw materials and it is holding the raw material, yes, for the business, for the manufacturer, until the time has come for it to be used. Now, warehouse provide outbound functions as well. It is holding finished goods for shipping to a final destination. So this now, the warehouse is performing a storage facility, yes, in order to make way for or put the necessary things in place to ship the goods to its final destination. Now, warehousing is important in the distribution process as it bridges the time gap between when goods are available and when they are actually needed. A very important point to note. Warehousing is important in the distribution process as it bridges the time gap. What is meant by that? Yes, it bridges the time gap that you would have to make reorder and the time it will take to reorder from the supplier to reach you to participate in the production. Yes, the warehouse allows you to store, yes, relevant inventory and raw materials that will constantly supply your production processes and keep production going. Yes, hence you will be saving, yes, in the production process. All right, warehousing as well provide temporary storage and enables production, as we spoke about earlier, marketing and sales roles to be performed. Now, marketing speaks to, yes, getting the customer, the consumer, to be aware of the existence and the availability of goods and services. So, if there is none stored, then the marketing would not be credible and customers will be disappointed that they are told goods are available and upon checking there is none. So the warehousing contribute to marketing. It contributes to sales because it means that people can access the goods and services. Yes. Warehousing allows for certainty in the availability of raw materials or finished goods. We spoke to that earlier. It contributes to price stability. And the question is how? Well, because you have bought the goods at a certain price at one point in time in the market, yes, you would have enough stored up so that you can, even if the price of the goods go up, you can cushion, yes, yourself against the inflationary movement in the price of goods. So storing the goods give you access to the goods, yes, and so the price at which you will sell your goods, because your production cost remains over longer period of time, then the price of your goods will remain stable. It prevents the violent fluctuation in stocks, right? That is stock running out. You have stock out. It prevents stock out. So there's a high demand for the goods, yes. And when there's a high demand, yes, if there is not enough in the business, then you are going to have a loss and you're going to have problems with your consumer. So when there is this sharp movement in demand for the goods, it can cushion, yes, it can satisfy, can deal with the violent fluctuation in stock, right? maybe some goods are in demand at a particular season, yes, and so people will store up the businesses will store up their goods, right, so that when the demand goes high, they will still have the supply. Fluctuation in price occur when demand for goods exceed the supply. Yes. Now, next component is insurance. There are many risks involved in chain distribution. Loss of power supply may affect specialist storage rooms. So this is a very important element, yes, because what we're saying here is the insurance. When you insure the goods that you are storing, it will hedge you against any likely loss. Yes, so specialized storage is taking place with your coolers to keep the products to last longer, give them longer shelf life, a longer existence. So if there is a power supply loss, then these specialized goods will be spoiled. Yes, so insurance now, if that occurs, yes, then the insurance insuring the goods that are stored in the warehouse, yes, can allow you, yes, to be able to get compensation for the goods. The risk of theft and damages to the goods in transit. So the insurance cover that risk of theft and damages. Insurance provides compensation for the loss that may occur, as we spoke about earlier. Information flow. Another component that is important is the information flow. What do we mean by that? This is activity. This activity is critical in the execution of the distribution. Yes, there needs to be adequate information provided to the supplier. Yes, adequate information provided for the middleman or the distributor or the customer, so they can make timely arrangement in accessing the goods and services that are moving through the distribution chain. There should be timely information between the sender or the consigner and the receiver and the consignee. Also between the receiver and the various actionaries charged with the goods in transit. We're now going to look at the links in the chain of distribution. Now, businesses must decide on the distribution channels, yes, to use to get the goods and services to the customers. They must decide on the best channel. Now, distribution chain is the channel of businesses, channels of businesses, the goods and services passes through. Yeah, the channels of businesses, the goods and services passes through, yes, until they reach the final destination. So we talk about the different location, the different handlers, yes, in the process from the time it was produced at the producer or the manufacturer to the time it reached the consumer or the customer. The supply chain involves the producer, the wholesaler, the retailer, and the consumer. Now let's look at some types of chain of distribution. The regular, and we consider to be the normal chain of distribution, the goods moving from the producer, then it goes to the wholesaler, then to the retailer, and then to the consumer. Alright, and then this is another chain of distribution. The goods may move from the producer to an agent, and the agent then will now sell it to the wholesaler to the retailer, and the retailer to the consumer. The third type of channel would be from the producer to the retailer to the consumer. One other thing I want to point out is the type of distribution chain that is used by businesses is directly related to the kinds of goods that are on the distribution chain. If the goods are perishable, then the line or the distribution chain is shorter. If it is goods that are durable, it may go on a longer line, right, of the distribution chain. So moving from the producer to the retailer to the consumer, that chain one would want to believe would be for perishable goods, as well as this one moving directly from the producer to the consumer. These last two chains of distribution really would be related to goods that are perishable, and so it must reach the consumer in the quality, yes, and the state that is fit for purpose and fit for consumption. Now we're going to look at modalities of transport, where what is known as multimodal and intermodal. So there is multimodal transport and intermodal transport. What is meant by that? Well, listen. Transportation is a critical part of the chain of distribution to get products to its destination. Isn't that right? Indeed. So it enables workers to travel, right? So transportation enables workers to travel, yes, enables raw materials to move or to reach the manufacturer. It enables finished goods to reach the consumer. Now, what is multimodal transport? Well, this is where goods being transported under a single contract involving at least two different modes of transport, right? So multimodal transport is where the goods is being transported using two or more modes of transport. Maybe rail transport and sea transport, or it may be sea transport, then rail transport, then road transport. So multimodal means you're using more than one modes of transportation to move the goods from one location to another. Then we come to intermodal. Now, intermodal transport is where you're moving large size goods or freight in the same steel-based containers through two or more modes of transport. For example, the containers, the steel containers, the goods are not removed from the container. Once they are packed in the container, they remain in that state, and it moves from the ship, yes, to unload onto perhaps a truck or a trailer, yes, and it is so you're moving from the movement, the freight is moved from one mode to another, but the goods are not interrupted, are not disturbed, right? So that's why we're told about intermodal, right? Intermodal transport, moving large size goods or freight in the same steel-based container through two or more modes. So it is placed onto the ship, and the ship brings it to the harbor. The crane takes it from the ship, place it onto the truck, and the truck moves away with it. And there's no disruption or movement or shifting or removing from the container the goods. Yes, so it is intermodal. Let's look at the role of transport in marketing. as countries' economies grow, there is an increasing demand for products and services. Isn't that so? As economies grow, there is an increase for demand, the increasing demand rather, of products and services by the consumers. Now, marketing has a role to play in facilitating the satisfying of this demand. Yes, so what we're looking at really is the role of transport in marketing, right? How does transport impact or contribute to the processes of marketing? Now, the main roles are: one, transport ensures security of supplies, right? Transport aids mass production by bringing raw materials when it is needed. It aids the distribution of finished goods to the marketplace. Fast track the sourcing of commodities. Yes. Time has increased. So we're talking about fast track. The transport fast track the sourcing of commodities. Time has increasingly become a crucial factor, yes, in the production of goods and services. In other words, because consumers and customers, there's a high demand. Consumers and customers are not willing to wait for any long period of time as they used to access goods and services. And therefore, yes, time has increasingly become crucial in getting, because it is those who can get the goods the fastest to the consumer will stand the chance, yes, of continuing to have their services and their goods in demand. Goods are required to be available quicker than ever before. Just-in-time manufacturing aims to avoid the waste associated with overproduction. So this again is important, right? Because as the goods are produced, they are to hit the market, yes, so that you don't have to producing and storing. That may cause wastage because spoilage will take place. So just in time manufacturing can take place because of the ability to transport it quickly. The third role is reducing costs. Reducing costs in a highly competitive market will determine sales volume and profits. So when you have the ability to transport goods, yes, as they are produced, it will reduce your costs. Storage costs. It will reduce storage costs, yes, and as a result of that, you can beat the market. You can become competitive in the marketplace. The movement of goods to meet demand, yes. So we're now talking about the role of transport in domestic and international trade. And what we're saying is that the movement of goods to meet demand of consumers across the country and the world is important to avert. Yes, standard of living. So if you are unable to transport the goods across the world, then it may affect the standard of living of the people in that country. Microeconomic fallout. If there is not enough, the goods are unable to move from the manufacturer quickly to the consumer, then what you're going to have is a rapid rise in demand for goods. And then inflation will increase and devaluation will affect the country's currency. the use of transport by road. So it is critical here that the use of transport by road, rail, sea, and air makes goods and services accessible worldwide. Yes? If it was only by road, then some places will never get the goods and service. But because of the advanced technology that has been put in place to move goods and services, yes, across the globe, yes, it allows for consumers to access the goods wherever they are across the world. Now, the other point is that it improves the quality. Now we're going to move to look at now the supply chain advantages. That's what we want to look at now. Advantages of the supply chain. Yes? It improves the quality of life because you are able to access the goods. Yes, it will improve your quality of life. People depend on the supply chain to deliver the basic necessities, yes, for them to survive, and as well as the luxury item to enhance their quality of life, such as food, cars, telephone, television, all of those. Because you are now able to access them, it improves your quality of life. Access to health care, access to the right nutritious meals, yes, will prolong your life, and so you have quality of life. The second advantage is that it's the chain of the supply chain rather. It supports economic growth. What do we mean by that? Societies with a highly developed infrastructure enable citizens to access goods and services on demand. They can get the goods because their infrastructure, such as roads, yes, are properly paved, so the goods can move from one location easy. Yes, you have rails that can move goods, airports, shipping harbors, all of those. Yes, the more goods are moving, it means more production taking place, more profits, so it increases and supports activities in the economy. So there's growth. Now, competitiveness also improves as a result of the supply chain. Competition encourages high quality and cheaper prices. Isn't that so? Whenever you have a lot of competition, it forces the participants, yes, to offer the best quality goods and to have offer it at even more affordable or cheaper rates, so the consumer gets more value for money. Another advantage is that it creates employment. So supply chain creates employment opportunities. How does that happen? Well, the movement of goods will give rise to increased production. So the more goods are leaving the production house, then there is more space for production to take place. The more the goods is moving out of the warehouse, there's more space to be filled with production. So this will open up opportunity for employment. Well, once there is a high demand for the goods, yes, then there are going to be increased production. And when there is increased production, there will be demand for more labor. At every stage of the supply chain, labor is needed, yes, and employment is created. Now, we have what is called telesales and telemarketing. These are benefits of supply chain. Yes, when we had the corona COVID-19, then telesales and telemarketing increased dramatically around the world. So people were buying and selling online, yes, without moving from their homes. But there's something else that happened. It increases the need for courier services. So the goods came into the island, and you have other chain of distribution take place now with the courier moving the goods from the shipping house to the respective homes for persons to access the goods and services. We have what is called e-tailing. Now, e-tailing is selling of retail goods on the internet, right? So e-tailing has led to the increased need for small couriers, as I've spoken about, services. Through the supply chain, e-commerce, this is also another important means of doing business on electronically. Yes, so we're saying through the supply chain, e-commerce has grown and now rivals traditional source of shipping. Globalization. Now we're looking at the challenges here now. Globalization has brought opportunities, but some challenges that affects the supply chain. What are those? Well, globalization creates complexities. So as things expand, there are greater complexities to maneuver in catering for the wide variety of consumers. Yes, businesses owned in other countries may be vulnerable to natural disasters, political instabilities, and industrial actions. All of those are disadvantages in globalized supply chain market. Yes, global competition may place greater demand on businesses. Counterfeiting is also a rising problem. Product counterfeiting has increased in scope and has threatened legitimate and genuine producers of products. Changing market conditions across the world. Market conditions are always changing, and businesses have to respond and manage these changes. We talk about blunders. Yes, blunders by management can have severe consequences. So because things are changing so fast, if the management blunders, it may have far-reaching effect. All right. Thank you very much for sharing with us. If you like this video, please click the like button and share this video with others. And if this video has communicated good content, please subscribe. And so you will see when we are going to be placing a new video once again for your learning. Thank you.